Hello everyone, Helen Blunden here at Activate Learn on Twitter. It is time for another book review, and this time round it is Charles Bukowski, Post Office. Now this is the third book I have read by this bloke. I was recommended Charles Bukowski by another booktube reviewer by the name of Clifford Sargent, who has a YouTube channel called Better Than Food. It's a great YouTube channel who reviews books that are certainly challenging. And this was. So when I heard of Clifford's review, I went out and bought Charles's first name basis, obviously, Ham on Rye, Tales of Ordinary Madness, and Post Office. Now, I don't usually do something like that, but I thought it was a risk. I'd never read any work by this bloke. I wasn't aware of who he was. I'd never heard of him before. But look, I'm glad I read the books. Ham on Rye was very interesting about his biography. The second one, Tales of Ordinary Madness, man, you just got to read it. You got to read it if you want to get depressed. In fact, don't even bother. Don't even bother. You could just read the news and get depressed. But if you want to get depressed even further, read Tales of an Ordinary Madness. And so after I'd read that second book, I thought to myself, I can't read any more of Bukowski. This is just going to take me down to the depth of depression, alcoholism, just blackness. And so I set it aside, but I picked up The Post Office recently. It's an easy read. It's about his life in the post office, and I must admit I enjoyed the bits of learning what posties used to do in the 1960s, how their mail was sorted, how they did their runs, what the life was like in a post office and behind the scenes in the post office. So I really liked that bit. His whole character is a bit of an anti-hero. Imagine the type. It's the 1960s, and in fact, he talks about curfew in here. He talks about the curfew and the riots, so we can only assume it was about the time of the race riots in America. And even though we get absolutely no mention of that or no mention of life outside the post office, this bloke his whole life revolves around drink, cigarettes, women, sex. That's about it, really. And so that's kind of like what we get. Gambling, the horses, of course. So you kind of get the idea of this bloke's life. He skips out on work a few times, and I must admit I did enjoy the chapter where he got the absent from place of duty. Look at this, the times he was away, all the charges. If you read the stuff that he had to be put through in the post office, you can explain why I was away. So I agreed with him there. Now, he's not a very likeable character. I think the treatment of women is pretty abysmal, but it is the 60s, not that I'm making any excuses for it. And whenever he talks about the women in his books, they're kind of like the women with the rollers in their hair, the face cream obviously on their face, sitting around eating boxes of chocolate, wearing petticoats with their boobs hanging out, just waiting for a guy to come in and save them so they can have a root on the side or something, just to get rid of their mundaneness of their life. And, you know, when I read of Bukowski, I'm reminded of the early series of Mad Men, and I think, man, is that how life was like in the 60s? Is that how life is like now? It's different. I can't associate with it. But anyway, Charles Bukowski, The Post Office, I found it a lot better than Tales of an Ordinary Madness. Certainly didn't depress me as much as the second book and the first book, Ham on Rye, which was his biography and which I did a review on recently. So Charles Bukowski, The Office, if you want to go light into Bukowski, this would be the book to do it. Otherwise, he's kind of like, don't know. As a woman and just the way that he writes about women, I don't know. But I'm glad I read it. I am. I am glad.